Hi there, crafty friends. Welcome and thank you for joining me. My name is Melissa, and today I thought we would make a Valentine's Day card, but in my mind it's going to be a little bit more generic, so you can give it to anybody. And we will be using Catherine Pooler's Hearts of Flutter hot foil plate, die set, stencils, and then you can also purchase the stamp set, but I am not using the stamp set today. It does have some nice sentiments. Every day my love grows, or you set my heart aflutter, but I didn't want to use the stamp set today. I really like using my hot foil plates, so that's what we are going to do. And I've got our stencils here. It's a 4-piece stencil set. Everything that we use today will be listed and linked in the description below. I did try to save a little time. I have something in mind. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do, but I think I know. So I did already hot foil this, but I have not peeled it off yet. And that is beautiful. I just love hot foiling all the things. So we will be using some pinks and a little bit of yellow. So we've got ballet slipper, sparkling rose, bubblegum, raspberry bliss, and candy apple. And then for my yellows, we've got lemon whip and sunshine. So let's get started with stencil number 1. And I will be wiping these off. I did make a card previously with this set, and the stencils do fit pretty well, but they are a little bit more whimsical. They don't fit exactly around each and every image here. So like you can see, I'm trying to line up my butterfly, and the little flower centers are a little off, but just a little bit, nothing major. So we're not using a sticky mat. We're just going to try to hold these down. Let's do our butterfly first. And I do need some pieces of cardstock here just to do a little bit of masking, because we are going to be using all different colors on each stencil. We're not doing one stencil, one color, and then the next stencil, just one more color. We're kind of making our bouquet all different colors. And I think here, I think we want to do the centers. You know what? I don't even need that piece of tape. So let's line up the centers of these flowers, the little ones, and we will ink blend those. So I've got my light lemon whip done. So now I am going to wipe off my stencil, and I am going to kind of do that in between each color, just so I don't mix them, because we are using sort of light colors. I don't want anything to turn orange or a muddy brown or anything like that. So now I am going to bring in bubble gum, and we will do these images. And I am going heavy-handed in some of them because I do want this bright. I'm going to use a white background, and I want it nice and bright. So let's bring in a little mask here and a little mask here, just so we don't risk getting that color where we don't want it. Now I'm going to wipe again, and we will bring in candy apple. So let's get those flowers lined up. And here we are going to really need to use those pieces of paper for masks, because I don't want to get this red anywhere that it does not belong. And we are just going to go around the edges, because this flower has a center, and I want to make the center of that flower nice and dark, and I want it to stand out. And if we do this whole thing in candy apple, then we may not see the center of that flower. So I'm just going like that around the edge and get the tips of those petals on there. So now we'll move over to the other flowers and do the same thing. I think that's good. Let's see what we got. where we're going with this. Oh, and that's going to be beautiful. And then we can come in with stencil number 2. And I think for these larger flowers, we've got 3 here, we are going to use bubble gum. And I'm just going to line them up one at a time. And we're going to come in from the top. I want to leave some white in there so it will distinguish the base of the flower from the petals, just like that. Then we can do the other 2, and I am going a little heavy-handed because I want my flowers to be bright. I want this to be a nice, bright, cheery card that I can give to any friend. This would be perfect for a coworker or a teacher or anything. We're not necessarily making this a spouse or significant other card. We've got our little flowers there, and then we've also got the center of some flowers. So for the centers of those flowers, I think we will use Sparkling Rose. And each time I am going to just kind of realign my stencil because it doesn't always, I mean, they match up pretty well, but not perfectly. It is, I believe, intended to be just a little bit more whimsical. So for our little flowers that have the yellow in them, you know what? Let's use Sparkling Rose again, but let's go a little bit lighter. So let's go around the edge and just give it a little bit of color. So we are already done with stencil 2, and that is coming along beautifully. Let's bring in stencil 3 and see what we've got here. So we've got a little bit on the butterfly, and we've got those larger flowers. So for the larger flowers, I want to come back in with Raspberry Bliss, and I've got to make sure that we mask off the butterfly wings. Let's use a little bit of pink. I hope it doesn't change the color too much. I've still got a little bit of bubble gum on here. Let's try to color in that wing just a little bit with some bubble gum and see if it will stay pink and not turn that like an orangey color. I don't really want an orange on here. We're staying with the pinks. Oh, and that came out pretty. That's all lined up, and I want to make sure that I cover that butterfly. And let's bring in that Raspberry Bliss. And we are just going to go around the edges. Always kind of tap off with your brush before you go in so you don't get any harsh marks on there. And I think that's good. I know I want it nice and dark because these colors will fade. So now we can do this one down here. Let's get that lined up. And this is coming together so quickly. We are already almost on stencil number 4. And that is going to be beautiful. Let's do our other daisy-like flowers first. I think we are going to make these. How much Sparkling Rose? Let's bring in Ballet Slipper. Let's use a lighter color. And we can always add a little bit of color towards the end of the petal if we want to. Just coming around the edges of that flower. Actually, I think we'll fill in the whole thing. So let's take a look at that. That's coming along beautifully. So let's fill in those candy apple centers, and we definitely need a mask here. We are going to go really heavy. I want that a nice, dark, deep red. Let's see what we got. Oh, that's looking so pretty. So now we need to finish our butterfly. We've got the little tiny areas here. And I think here we're going to come in with Sunshine. That is just a darker yellow. So let's do that. And I've got to mask because I don't want to get yellow in that pink there and then have it turn orange. Perfect. Now we can go ahead and get this image die cut. That image is all die cut, and now we can go ahead and finish our card. So I did prep a couple things here. I die cut a couple extra layers out of white cardstock so we can stack this. So let's go ahead and add this. We'll get that nice and lined up. And instead of using the foam strips, I thought it would be a little bit more stable if we just used extra layers. I love doing it that way. Then I brought in my Spellbinders 3D embossing folder, and this is Cross My Heart. I received this in the Spellbinders Weekender event that they had last year, and I also believe it was a embossing folder of the month in December of 23, I want to say. So I think it is still available out there. You've just kind of got to search for it, but I will not be able to link to that, I don't think. I've got 2 panels here that I ran that through, and I just love this dimension. I like to have a border around my cards, so this panel is cut to 4 and 5 1/4, and this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I wasn't sure if my heart was going to be able to fit on the smaller panel with the sentiment I wanted to use. So this card actually came about because I wanted to use this sentiment. I love this sentiment. And I cut this sentiment from Penny Black. What is this set called? Love and Miss You. And this love, I just love this scripty die here. So that's why I'm using this. And I also made 2 samples here. We've got one in gold and then one in, this is Raspberry Bliss. I just ink blended some Raspberry Bliss on a piece of cardstock, die cut that out, and stacked it. Should we use the Gold Love or the Raspberry Bliss? You know what? I think we are going to go with the Raspberry Bliss. I am going to add my panel to my card base, and then we will finish this card really quick. So I did put foam tape behind this panel, and this is the smaller panel because I do like to have a little border on my cards, and it did look like this would fit on there perfect. So let's add our love and our heart. So now we can go ahead and embellish. So when I cut my love out of the ink blended, what was that, Raspberry Bliss paper, I also cut some hearts, and I cut some out of gold and bubble gum just because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And this is a fantastic die for getting a whole bunch of hearts in different sizes all at once. And this is the Penny Black Hearts Galore die, and that just made it so convenient. So do we want to use Raspberry Bliss hearts or gold hearts or gems? And that card is finished. This came out so cute, and it was so quick and easy. I decided to add some of my Pink Fresh Studio gold pearls and also some of the Raspberry Bliss die cut hearts, and that is just so cute. I love that. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Please be sure to give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. I read all comments, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.